South Soccer here. The Atlanta United Leones Negros game just ended, and it was pretty frustrating to watch. If you guys paid attention, you guys know how it was. I think Doug Roberson had made a tweet that I said I was going to do a little tactics thing on, which is what this is, about why Atlanta United seems to always be outnumbered in the attack, and things just generally seem difficult. To me, it's the basic setup of the team and the way that the team is constructed in this 3-4-3. It's being in a back three in general is an issue with this team right now, and I think in general it's why you see teams. What I want to talk about is why you see teams play more often in modern game in a 4-3-3 with a single pivot midfielder, a real number 6 who can play with the two center backs in a triangle to receive the ball and start the build-up. That is what this is all about. It's about the build-up play. And Atlanta United's problem, if you look at the chalkboard, this is pretty much how most teams are going to defend. It's how Leones Negros defended tonight, which is basically in a 4-4-2 block. It's what almost everybody does. Even if you're in a 4-2-3-1 or something, you're going to be essentially in two banks of four with a couple forwards that are pressing. And so the traditional thought behind using a back three against a 4-4-2 is that you have an extra man, right? You've got an extra man. It's 3v2. And you should be able to work your way out and build attacks that way. And in the past, that was definitely the case. I mean, it had a lot of success. But in the modern game, with more pressing, these guys coming even further out of their box than they normally would, or out of their own half, to deny the opponent's build-up, it creates a problem, and it creates a different dynamic. So you've got these three players. Let's just pretend my mouse cursor is the ball. Okay, so if it goes to the left center back, these forwards are going to come this way, and if the ball gets passed back, normally you have the center back would drop a little bit to receive the pass. It would come back here. You would see some slight pressing, just like to gain some positional awareness or advantage, and then the pass might go out to the right center back. Oops, get rid of that. Might go out to the right center back, and these guys shift over, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. What you really need to have the effective build-up is to have at least one of the central midfielders playing in behind these two strikers. That's what actually gives you the advantage to move the ball into midfield and start the build-up play to get in, because these guys cannot have eyes in the back of their head to know where this defensive midfielder is, so he can move and position himself accordingly and be able to receive a pass. And so why can't they do it out of three? Well, you can do it out of a three, but there's really no reason you need to. And if you're doing it out of a three, that means you're requiring four players to just get the ball into midfield out of away from the center backs. As opposed to, you could just, if you had another player in the attack and you had a back two, you have the same dynamic. You have the same dynamic where this player in behind can position himself in a way that these guys pressing can't see. And it creates for a much more difficult dynamic for these defenders to defend, and you can do it with less players. So then you have more players in the attack, so that these guys can then link up together. They're not as outnumbered, and you can generally have a better attack. So I would like to see the team simply morph into this shape when during build-up. These guys, the fullbacks would have to come back a little bit. But to be in this shape, that way you've got your central midfielders locked up 1v1, and you've got a 3v2 advantage right here in the build-up. That to me is why I've wanted this team to be in a 4-3-3. Why it is, I think, what will be the best. This team will be at its optimal best when they're in a 4-3-3 like this. I think they're set up to play this way. They might be short of numbers in midfield, though, and that might be a reason why. But, there are some, people will have qualms with us saying that the center backs need to be technically better on the ball to be playing in a back two instead of a back three, and that might be the case, but I want to see the team move in this direction. I really think it will help them out. I think it will give them much, much, much more help higher up the pitch. That way you can really attack. You can fill all five channels with these five players, whether it's the fullbacks coming out wide and the midfielders dropping back, or the midfielders filling up into the half spaces. It gives you so many more intricate ways and just different ways, various ways of developing the attack if you can only build up with these 3 players. And I think that in a back 3 setup with 3 center backs across the back, it just doesn't work out as well. It's not as easy. You're much more predictable, and I think that that's what we've seen from Atlanta United in these last 2 preseason games. Is they've just been pretty predictable. Maybe they can hold some possession when they have those 3 center backs, but are they really creating any damage? Or are they really creating a threat? No, they're not. They're just passing it back and forth. So I think if the team can move in this way, they'll be much better off. This defensive midfielder is such an important position in this setup because they need to have the tactical awareness of where to position themselves. They need the technical awareness to actually be able to receive those passes and turn into space and continue the build up, or then really turn the build up into the attacking phase. And that's why I don't think Atlanta United is ideally suited for it right now. Maybe you can play Anton Walks in this position if he develops. I mean, the guy right now would be Jeff Lorenowitz, and Eric Rometty. I guess that he would be second, like the next guy in line to play here. I actually wouldn't care if Emerson Hyndman actually played in this role. He doesn't mean he needs to be the most offensive when the team is actually defending, but when the team is building up, I don't mind him coming a little deeper and playing in this role if he's the one who can actually take up the right spaces and help the team build the attack. So anyway, that is like a super condensed version of this whole idea of positional play, but I just think it's something that will help Atlanta United tremendously if they can move towards it. So we'll see what happens, especially with Miles Robinson out. Well, I'm assuming that right now, but he picked up an injury in the game tonight, and if it's any kind of injury, I can't imagine he's going to play a significant role on the road in Honduras. So maybe we won't see it for a while. I can see, the obvious reason why you play 3 center backs is it's just safer. It's you can make more errors and you have guys back to defend. And maybe in MLS, that is the pragmatic approach. That is definitely the way you're going to concede fewer goals. But I think we all want to see this team attack and have fun. And as Darren Neal said, win games 5-4 or whatever. So anyway, just a little idea, something that was bugging me. And I was not going to be able to sleep tonight until I did this video. So until next time, we'll see you guys later.